What is up, guys? Welcome to the first mock draft on this channel. I'm very excited to try this out. Hopefully it does well, but even if not, we're just gonna have some fun today. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you like this style of content, again, we're just kind of trying it out today. And if it does well, great. If not, I mean, again, I don't really care. We're just gonna have some fun today. And if you're new to the channel, I hope to upload more style of content like this, draft related content like mock drafts. Obviously, the draft's coming up here in a little less than a month, or I guess it should be like a month from today, maybe. Um, Either way, we're coming up pretty close on the draft. We're in the prime draft season, and it's getting really exciting, especially if you're one of these teams if you're a fan of one of these teams towards the top. A lot of different scenarios can happen, and I'm very excited for this year's draft. So we're gonna do a one-round mock draft today. So yeah, I guess we're gonna go ahead and get our first pick started. Obviously, a lot of people are gonna have Fernando Mendoza here. That's what I'm gonna have. Uh, there's not much to say there. Heisman winner, undefeated season, and number one overall pick. Hasn't happened since Joe Burrow, I believe. And Fernando Mendoza has quite some potential, and he's a great guy. And hopefully, he does really well in the NFL and turn things around there in Las Vegas. Second overall, this is where a lot of people have one of the big edge rushers coming off the board, and this is really where the draft starts. We hear that said every year, and this year it's going to start at 2 because we know the first overall pick is going to be a QB, and that's going to be Mendoza. But for the Jets, this is probably for me it's Arvell Reese usually, and I just think this guy's a monster. You know, he can dominate at the line, and he's also dropped back in coverage a lot at Ohio State. So he's not like a pure linebacker. And obviously he hasn't really shown that he can be a pure edge rusher yet fully. But if the Jets take him at second overall here, they're going to probably have him at edge rusher full time, I'm guessing, and develop him into that. And I don't think there's going to be a big problem there. Will it happen right away? Probably not. But regardless, I think you're getting arguably the best player of the draft there at second overall. And then for the Cardinals, I'm not gonna lie, I'm literally just doing this off the top of my head. I didn't have this pre-planned out. I've done a lot of mock drafts in the past, though. This is just my first one I'm filming. So for the Cardinals, I usually do go tackle here, and you got Monroe Freeling here, which his stock has gone all the way up over the past couple weeks after the combine, and his test results came in really well. He just has ideal size, I guess, and again, he can play left tackle, which I don't think Francis Mauigoa or Spencer Fano are like clear-cut left tackles come NFL. But regardless, I still think for the Cardinals, this is going to be Francis Mauigoa for now. I just think Francis Mauigoa is probably the best offensive lineman in this class. But again, there's that debate to have. But we're going to have that for now. And tackle is a big need for the Cardinals. But even if he has to switch to guard, I don't think that's too bad. Even though it is third overall, so that might be the only area of concern. But we're just going to do that for now. And then for the Titans at number 4, so for a while I had the Titans taking an edge rusher at 4th overall. If they were to do that right now, it would be either David Bailey or Ruben Bain. And I don't think the Titans would mind taking one of those guys. That would absolutely just make that defensive line probably incredible next year. Because you're going to have Jeffrey Simmons and Jonathan Franklin Myers, of course, on the interior. You added Jermaine Johnson through the T'Vondre Sweat trade, and now you add another edge rusher for the opposite side of Jermaine Johnson. They would be able to dominate. But I believe with all of their free agency moves, and even though it's not a huge area of concern necessarily, I think that Jeremiah Love will be the pick for now. Um, Again, he's arguably the best player of this draft. And again, just looking at the Titans' free agency and their offseason in general, them trading for Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher, and then them going out and paying Wan'Dale Robinson and keeping Calvin Ridley on top of that, just kind of indicates that they're not going to go receiver. And I mean, it doesn't take away the idea of adding another edge rusher, but um, I just feel like it's Jeremiah Love at this point, and I feel like with Cam Ward being your QB1 now, you gotta do some more to help him out after last season, and getting an ideal running back one here, even if it's at fourth overall. I don't think you mind that, and if you're a Titans fan, you should be pretty excited if you end up taking Jeremiah Love. But I think you should be excited regardless, even if you end up getting Bain or Bailey. Anyways, enough discussing the Titans. Let's talk about the Giants here at fifth. A lot of areas for them where they can try to attack here. I think obviously Sonny Styles now after his combine, he's driven up his stock for me at least. Just great size and athleticism there, and I mean honestly, the only other area I can see them addressing is wide receiver. You've got Malik Neighbors though. I mean, I know he's coming off the injury. I don't know his timeline exactly, but do you take a receiver at fifth overall? Yeah, I just don't really see it, especially if Sonny Styles is still on the board. Sonny Styles is going to be a great player in the NFL. At least I believe so. And yeah, he's a pure linebacker, unlike Alvaro Reese. But regardless, you're getting a tone setter for that defense. And I think you can consider Caleb Downs as well. But I just feel like Sonny Styles is more likely to pick after the combine. For the Browns, they've got 2 first-round picks. 6 and 24. And to be honest, I feel like both of those, or one of those picks goes to receiver, one of them goes to the offensive line. However you want to sort that out, it's up to you, to be honest. I think you have to go tackle with the first pick. Again, even if you have to switch one of these guys to guard, you don't really mind that because the Browns, they need help at guard too. So I'm going to go with Spencer Fano, who can probably play everywhere on the offensive line. And the reason I'm not going receiver is because, like I said, they have the 24th overall pick. So once we get back there, I think that's when I'll circle back around to a wide receiver. But I think it doesn't make as much sense to take a receiver at 6 and then, risk losing on an opportunity to get one of the premier tackles of this draft class, which there aren't that many. So, and obviously tackle is such a valued position, and the receiver class is really deep this year. For the Commanders, this is another spot where you can consider wide receiver. I think you could try to go edge rusher, or you could go just reading off their needs here. You could go Caleb Downs. He's still available. I think I'm gonna go with Ruben Bain. I don't remember if they addressed edge rusher in free agency. I know some of these teams better than I do others, and a lot happened in free agency, but I don't think even if they addressed it, I feel like their edge rushing situation heading into free agency was not, it was pretty far from perfect. So even if you added an edge rusher in free agency and you take Ruben Bain here, I don't mind that. I mean, Ruben Bain, he has a potential to just dominate in the NFL, and he has really good run stopping ability as well as potentially good pass rushing ability too. We'll talk more about him later, but for now, let's talk about the Saints and this pick. I've seen people go with receiver here. Um, I'm not going to do that right now. I've seen him go obviously with Jeremiah Love. He's off the board. And obviously, with them adding Travis Etienne in free agency, that's not happening. They gave him a lot of money. I guess I forgot about that for a second because just off the fact that I even mentioned it. But okay, I take back what I originally said about not addressing receiver. I think that's where I'm gonna go. The other option was probably edge rusher, but I think David Bailey is a good player. But I think with Carnell Tate still on the board here, you probably you could double dip with Ohio State receivers over the past, I guess, what, 5 years now, with Chris Olave. Chris Olave is a pretty good receiver, but is he stopping you from taking another potential elite receiver in Carnell Tate, who might even move to receiver one eventually? I don't think so. I think you got Tyler Shugg, and you're getting him some help here. So Carnell Tate to the Saints there. For the Chiefs, this is no longer a like spot where you would consider, I guess, Kenyon Sadiq. It wasn't a spot where I ever considered Kenyon Sadiq anyway. I think it's just too high. But Travis Kelce just got his contract, and now he's returning. So yeah, I don't know if you're excited about that as a Chiefs fan. It feels like he would be, but I know he's getting old and whatnot, and there are obviously question marks with if Mahomes can even enter the 2026 NFL season, and just be able to start in Week 1. But regardless, I think this is Mansour Delane, given that you just lost both of your top two corners, and Trent McDuffie and what's his name, Josh Williams. Also, I guess Jalen Watson, right? But regardless, you're gonna need help at corner, and if Mansour Delane's on the board here, that's actually a really easy pick, and that could turn out really well for them. So for the Bengals here, you got options once again. You could address the O-line, which is something they've needed to do for basically since Joe Burrow's joined the league. But I don't really know who I would take here if we were to address the offensive line. I think David Bailey has fallen enough to where this is kind of a surefire pick for me. David Bailey, some guys have him going up here at 2 to the Jets. I don't have him that high, but I could see why. He 14 and a half sacks this past season at Texas Tech, and you're getting a great pass rusher there. He wins with speed, and his moves, but he does lack size, I believe. Yeah, he has long arms. It's just I think the speed rushing is the one way for him to go, and he's also not a great run defender apparently. Obviously he can develop once he's in the NFL, but if he falls to 10, I think you got to take him there if you're the Bengals, especially with their need at edge rusher, losing Trey Hendrickson. And then the Dolphins, they just lost Jalen Waddle to that trade with Denver. So you could take a Mekhi Lemon, maybe Jordan Tyson if you're not worried about the injury concerns. But you definitely have to consider that if you're picking at 11th. So you can't just ignore them. I feel like I don't know if there's the right tackle there if you're Miami. The only other thing I could think to address is corner, but honestly, you just paid Malik Willis and then traded his what would have been his number one target. So, yeah, honestly, you got to go receiver here. Mekhi Lemon has some incredible upside. Really, the only negative about him is his size, I feel like. And, I mean, he doesn't play like he's however tall, however small he is. He plays like a big dude. He brings competitiveness. He has great hands, great route running ability. He is just the type of guy I would want to have on my team. Um, just an awesome player. I really do like Mekhi Lemon. Um, yeah, the Cowboys. So I think there's a few things you could go with. Obviously, this is a defense pick. Do you want to go McCoy? I mean, it's possible, but keep in mind they also pick at 20th, so I'm gonna try not to reach here. Not saying McCoy is a reach. I'm just saying that in general. You could go safety, but actually, Caleb Downs still on the board. That might be where I go. I kind of forgot he existed this mock draft apparently. You could step in and take an edge rusher, but I don't think you're gonna do that at 12. That's your 20th pick potentially. Caleb Downs still being on the board. That's gonna be the pick, and may very well be getting the steal of the draft if you find Caleb Downs at 12th overall. He used to be up there in the top 3 of my big board. And not saying he's plummeted or anything, but I guess the testing and the positional value have him a little lower than he used to be for now. Again, 12th overall. Yeah, you got to be happy with that. The Rams used to be a pretty common corner pick until they just took the Chiefs secondary. So that's not where we're going to go at this point. You could definitely look offensive line. I mean, yeah, I think that's where we'll go here. You don't pick again in the first round anymore, obviously with the Trent McDuffie trade, but receiver, it's not like it's an immediate need right now. You can come back around in round 2, late round 2, I guess, if they still have that pick, and you can take your receiver there. But I think this is absolutely a win now team. So the pick that makes a little more sense is Monroe Freeling for now. With the Ravens, Zay Flowers had a pretty good year. I don't think you can rule out the possibility of getting Lamar a little more help though. But honestly, Vega Ioane being on the board here, you're taking that in my opinion. You got Henry in the backfield. You're trying to be this sort of smash mouth football team, I guess, and Lamar's ability to run to Vega Ioane could be a tone setter on this offense. You lost Tyler Linderbaum, so you need help with the interior offensive line at this point. And if you get Vega Ioane at 14th, I think you should be pretty happy about that. For the Bucks, this was a pretty common Kenyon Sadiq spot for me. Obviously, not anymore because Cade Otton has agreed to an extension. And the biggest other spots I'm thinking about here is edge rusher. If you like Keldrick Falk, maybe. Corner, Jermod McCoy still on the board. You could consider linebacker, but I don't think there's anyone I love here at 15th overall. And honestly, just taking the best player available, I'm going to go Jermod McCoy. I've done that before. It kind of just makes sense. You lost Jamel Dean. For the Jets and their second pick of this round, before they pick again in like 17, 18 or so picks or whatever it is, because they kick off the second round with another pick. It's not going to be Ty Simpson. I'll tell you that right now. No shade to Ty Simpson. I hope he does well, but we're not going to take him probably at all today. I'll go ahead and tell you that. We'll see. But where did we go? We went Arvell Reese, of course. Yeah. I feel like you. You could go a few different places here. Usually, if Makai Lemon's here, I would like that. But with Jordan Tyson's injury concerns, um, even though I do think Jordan Tyson is actually probably the receiver with the most upside of everyone in the class, just because I think he's so talented and he's such a good player. I don't think this is Omar Cooper at this point, but you never know, I guess. Honestly, okay, we're not gonna go edge rusher. Let's try Avion Terrell. Uh, Sometimes I don't think Avion Terrell gets enough credit. He had a pretty good year in 2025 with Clemson, and he tested pretty well. Let's go with that 16th. The Lions. This could be interior O line, I think. But there's no one I really like. If you want to go Caden Proctor, it's a little bit early. I feel like this is usually edge rusher, or it's one of these positions here. I can't think of 100% of everything they addressed in free agency. I don't remember them making any like massive moves. I've been a little bit behind with keeping up with people's mock drafts. I haven't really seen what other people are doing as of late, over the past, like, I guess, week and a half or two, because a lot's been happening in the NFL with free agency. And I just really haven't had time to come around to that in general. But assuming they haven't really addressed edge rusher, not that that's their number one need coming into free agency, but I do feel like they could use another edge rusher, just other than Aiden Hutchinson. Maybe you like Keldrick Falk. I like Keldrick Falk. I don't love him, but I feel like he provides a decently high floor. He's a good run stopper, similar to Ruben Bain, and he has better size than Ruben Bain, I believe. So we're gonna go Keldrick Falk. The Minnesota Vikings. This obviously it could be corner or safety, but with how everything's fallen, maybe this is a little bit high, but I really like Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo. I just love his style of play. I think he could really fit right into that Vikings defense, and they're going to love him in Minnesota if he turns out the way I think he'll turn out. The Carolina Panthers, I mean, you can never have enough receiver help, I guess, especially with, trying to develop Bryce Young still, even though he is in year, it'll be his like fourth season, I guess, but maybe you go Kenyon Sadiq. You could go edge rusher. Maybe not. They signed Jalen Phillips. This used to be a pretty common edge rusher spot. It also used to be a pretty common CJ Allen, but honestly, I'm gonna go Kenyon Sadiq here. Give Bryce another target to throw to, and get what should be a pretty solid tight end. Then circling back around to Dallas, we went with Caleb Downs with that first pick. So now you got plenty of options. You could take an edge rusher. You could take a corner. I think you could go defensive lineman. And it seems as though like Caden McDonald, Caleb Banks, and Peter Woods have all dropped a little bit in the rankings since the last time I've done a mock draft. Well, I'm gonna try to not think of that too much, because apparently it's their biggest need, and I don't hate any of these corners remaining, but I don't love them either. So we're gonna try to go with Caleb Banks, I guess, and it works great if you're Dallas. If not, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it works. Pittsburgh, could be Ty Simpson here. This is big spot where Ty Simpson could potentially come off the board. You could go O-line help. You could go on. You probably don't go receiver after trading for Pittman. If they actually need a tackle or a guard, we're gonna go Caden Proctor out of Alabama. Maybe this is a little bit high. This is a bit higher than I usually end up sending Caden Proctor. But maybe some teams like him more than I do. And I don't know if it's going to be Pittsburgh to do that because he's probably going to take some development. And with Aaron Rodgers, do you really want to draft a guy who needs a good bit of development? But we're gonna do that today. We're just kind of having fun with it, like I said. With the Chargers, there's not really anyone I love for the offensive line. This is a good spot to take like any of these guys really. We'll go with Peter Woods today. Yeah, I think if Peter Woods falls to you here, I don't think you should mind that as a Chargers fan. Get you some pretty solid help on the interior defensive line. For the Eagles, I guess receiver could be on the board. If AJ Brown's gone, he's not gone yet though, so I'm just gonna assume he's still there. And even if so, I don't really know if that's like where all of your focus should go. I think you can consider a Blake Miller here, or Akeem Mesidor. I think this is the first real spot where I'd say, yeah, I don't mind that. They're a win now team, and I think we're gonna try Akeem Mesidor today. Now that I say that, he can probably make an immediate impact with the Eagles and defense. So yeah, let's go with Akeem Mesidor out of Miami. Okay, Cleveland with their second pick of the round. Obviously went Spencer Fano. I said I was going to circle back around to receiver, so that's exactly what I'll do. Jordan Tyson still being on the board. You have to go him, in my opinion. If at 24th, I mean, you could be getting a superstar receiver. I'm super high on Jordan Tyson, and this would be an exciting way to hopefully uplift this Cleveland Browns offense next season, if he can stay on the field, of course. The Chicago Bears, this could be a Dylan Thieneman spot, or it could be like Caden McDonald. Now, which is more valuable? I feel like it's gonna be defensive lineman, but I think we're gonna go with Dylan Thieneman. I think that's probably about the range I'd expect Dylan Thieneman to go. With the Bears, you lose Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker through the offseason, so but you did add, I guess, Kobe Bryant. I think Dylan Thieneman could be your guy there at 25. Buffalo at 26. It's not a receiver anymore, which it pretty often used to be. There's definitely not a safety I'd really even consider taking. This is kind of a tough pick. Okay, maybe receiver's not too far off the board. Like, you have Shakir, I guess. You have DJ Moore. Other than that, I don't think there's anything stopping you from taking a potential wide receiver 3 or even higher, because I don't know how much, either Shakir or DJ Moore really are stopping you from taking one of those guys. I thought they needed edge rusher help, but maybe not after free agency. I know they added Bradley Chubb. So again, maybe not, but this is a bit of a tricky pick to make. I'm gonna assume this is right and a linebacker is one of their top needs. If that is the case, I think, yeah, CJ Allen's still on the board. So if you get CJ Allen 26, you gotta be pretty happy with that. I'm pretty high on CJ Allen too, honestly. It's just he's not on the level of Sonny Styles. That being said, linebackers are almost never taking anywhere near as high as Sonny Styles. So that's not necessarily like a horrible thing if you're CJ Allen or if you're a Bills fan to have him at 26. So for San Francisco, I know there's some stuff going on with that offensive line. They probably need help with the pass rush too. And there's three good edge rushers I think who could potentially be first rounders. So which one do they like? I feel like TJ Parker could be the pick. So yeah, I don't have a lot to say about him. Again, he's I feel like he has pretty good size. I think Cassius Howell. There's a little bit of concerns there, but yeah, if you want to go Cassius Howell, I don't mind that either. For Houston, this is gonna be Caden McDonald if he still falls. Caden McDonald should be a pretty good player. He provides a little bit of pass rush help too, potentially. And Houston's gonna need a young defensive interior lineman moving forward to just keep that defense incredible. If they want to go interior offensive line, you got Emmanuel Pregnon. If you want to go that route, or you have Chase Basantis too. If you want to go there, I don't mind either one of those. But for now, we're gonna go Caden McDonald. For the Chiefs, we took Mansour Delane, and I think I want to take a receiver probably. I think, but Cassius Howell is still on the board. I just think the Chiefs do like really need help with receiver. They didn't address it in free agency. Obviously, Rashee Rice has his issues that tend to keep him off the field. Xavier Worthy is solid, but he's probably not gonna be your receiver one. At least I hope not. Who would be your guy though if you do go receiver? Would it be Denzel Boston? We'll try that for now. He's not my favorite. I do like an Omar Cooper a little better, but with Xavier Worthy already being kind of your small, I guess sort of like a slot receiver. I think you have to draft based off of that, and Denzel Boston's a big dude who can potentially win a lot of jump ball situations, and I don't think they really have that receiver. So yeah, maybe Denzel Boston if he falls to them at 29. I think that works, and you should be decently optimistic about that if you're a Chiefs fan, and that does end up happening. So with our Miami pick, their second of the first round, we took Makai Lemon, and now I think you got to circle back around to corner. I think I like some Brandon Cisse if he falls to 30th here. Yeah, I think you take him. You really need some corner help. He's just a guy I really like. If you want to flip the order too and go corner here, like Jermod McCoy, I guess, and then go receiver here, it's up to you. I just took receiver earlier because of the Malik Willis signing. The Patriots, I think, depending on who's here, so Blake Miller is here, Caleb Lomu. Caleb Lomu has some versatility, so there's that. I think, does he actually? I might have been thinking of Spencer Fanu actually. We'll go with Blake Miller. If you stick him at tackle, good, cool. Because if he works, that's nice. You can kick Will Campbell to guard, I guess. But either way, I think adding some beef to that offensive line definitely doesn't hurt. And then for Seattle, our two safeties are off the board. This is going to be a secondary pick. I do really like Pawns, Johnson, and Keith Abney. Um, I think Colton Hood is the best fit, though, for being honest. Um, and Colton Hood, guy I really like. He had a really good 2025. Um, just not extremely standout, I guess. But if he falls to you at 32, I don't think you mind that. So that'll do it for my first mock draft. Trying to get this off the screen here. Let me know what you guys think. What would you do differently? Don't take this too serious. I don't know everything about every team. I'm just having fun with it today. And I need to catch up on some of the later mock drafts and reports from these players and teams. And after free agency and all that, a lot happened basically between now and just life. But yeah, we're gonna try to do a couple more of these before the draft. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys for some more sports related content.